History of Transport. Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza. Your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village. Convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you very much for joining us as we end the week off with a fantastic Friday edition of Talk Today with the excellent company of parliamentarian, Mr. Ezra Miller, former. I was going to ask you, he put it in right there. If it's like an Olympian, once an Olympian, always an Olympian, once a parliamentarian, always a parliamentarian?
Yeah, but don't have to be serving.
And I say that because I had the good fortune early of a conversation with some individuals who were sharing, and this was quite early in the day, that when it comes to civics, and in particular parliamentary procedure, processes, and the idea that the political landscape is one in this country that we love, but we don't always navigate it properly, but more importantly, we don't invite others to the table to share the knowledge. And they commended you for it. I would almost be inclined to say, boy, you saying those nice things about Mr. Ezra. You must be mellow in your old age. But
Yeah,
I didn't say that.
I tell everybody that, you go around Cayman and ask people if they like Ezra Miller, probably 99.9% can tell you that they don't. But if you ask them if they respect me, I think I get a good percentage that will say they respect me because I'm not afraid to answer a question. I'm not afraid to engage. I'm not intimidated by people who may be smarter than me. I use it as an opportunity to learn. But the respect is what I covered. I can't handle any more love when I got in my house.
It's nothing like a father's love. It's nothing like a parent, unconditionally loving on their children, and the children feel it. And if we grow up with that, then we pass on to our children.
Yep.
And I say that to ask ourselves two things, This week, I call it, an excuse to eat chocolate, But it's love. It should be all-encompassing love, no more just the amorous love, but the agape. But with that in mind, is there sufficient love and instruction? Back to our parents. They disciplined us. It wasn't about physically doing something to restrain or otherwise, chastise, but there was love in what they did, said, and the way it was done and said. And we seem to...
You should call it tough love when it was necessary.
Yeah.
But anybody who does not love, show respect, and is willing to do whatever is necessary within their means to look after their parents, Ezra Miller not got no empathy, no time, no sympathy, no nothing for them. I can't deal with them kind of people.
Yeah.
Equally so, I have never been able to wrap my mind around what we call, for more of a deadbeat fathers. Men who can father children and just forget about it and brag that they have, children. But, it's just something that I could never do. And obviously these people have never taken the opportunity to exercise the love for their children and how the love returns, because children return the love. So, but
you say that.
We live in,
yeah. Thank you, Srila, and guide me. And this is not meant to offend, but if it does, I won't apologize for it. An elderly gentleman said one time to a bunch of us young bucks, as he called us, he said, listen, ain't a fool can make a child. It takes a man to be a father.
That's right.
And this is a man who has had a couple of marriages, a number of children prior, and whichever. And he said, right or wrong, his father taught him what his father taught him. You consciously or unconsciously, deliberate otherwise, a child is brought into this world, you make this necessary sacrifice and you serve the interest of the child. You provide from as best as you can. And if you can't consciously, like his father did, say, listen, I would like to have more, but my means, my household is only this. But if it happens that it turns out to be more than you can physically accommodate, you make the necessary concessions. He said it in a way that may have been a little bit more direct, a little bit more colorful, but the message was very clear. And that resonated with a bunch of us, so much so that just this week, one of them said, he came from a family of ex-children like me, and his goal was to have half what he had, and he only has, a handful. So imagine if he were to follow that. But because of what this fellow said, he couldn't afford it. As he sat down with his income and expectations, I can comfortably in my mind probably be able to afford to provide for these 2 or 3. What if I have more? I see that as we get into a discussion and looking at the country that we occupy now, potential of what we leave going forward, our children are going to. I didn't want to say inherit, because inheritance would be something good. What we got to leave them? When someone leaves you something, it's usually a bad thing. I left that for you. Can you carry it out?
Well, I pray for the day that the environmental zealots are as concerned about our cultural norms of manners and discipline in the household and respect and love for each other as they are for 2 or 3 mosquitoes or cockroaches or a couple of wild plants, But we seem to be, they often seem willing to jump on this bandwagon of environmental protection, but environmental goes beyond just the physical environment,
Yeah.
We need to culture, and up until today, you walk into certain establishments and you say good morning, and if it's not a Caymanian there that you're just saying that to, they look at you like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, man.
I didn't speak to you, so why should you speak to me, kind of thing,
Yeah. I'll say that this to ask 2 things. I had a wonderful experience earlier. A very close friend we were going to meet. We're heading up into the Levita. The most amenable, hospitable young Caymanian ladies. The professionalism, the politeness, just incredible. I'm in Cayman. I know where I'm going. Honestly, if I lost, I don't feel a thing. But I didn't know exactly where I was and how to get to where I needed to be. And she, accent, look aside, obviously can't mistake one for the other, right? But she presented that Caymanianness. Okay, you 2 old fellas, this is where you got to go, right? And I said to her, if you, and this is one of the few times I'll talk at the school, I said, if it's okay, can I ask? And then she said, is this so and so? I went to school with your sisters or within the family. But you could see that. And that was so refreshing to be able to look at somebody, to be able to identify that, okay, I see the ancestral links. But the way she offered to help down the road by the fruit tree, make a left, walk past the mangoes, don't turn here at that little rock, go beyond.
Yeah.
And I joked and said, all left you doing is grab our hands and help us across the road.
Yeah.
It was such a wonderful exchange, nothing other than that kind Caymanian hospitality that you get all the time. But as
I've had to interact with a government agency, and I want to identify the agency this for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And the first time I went there, I dealt with a non-Caymanian, and it was very abrupt. And here's the forms, fill them out, get them filled out, And of course, things didn't work out. So I went back, and then I got the opportunity, or was lucky that a Caymanian person came to deal with me. And it was such a contrast, She made sure that I understood the forms, who had to sign them, what the qualifications the people were to sign them. Right?
You're right.
And so I saw her boss a couple of nights after that, and I made sure to tell him how well the person had treated me.
Wow. Yeah.
Because I sent her an email afterwards telling her. He said, well, what you should have done, you should have copied me an email. I said, well, I don't like to,
No, man.
But that's the difference,
If you would allow me, through you, to just to highlight that, because I think we don't often comment publicly, we even less to condemn. I was at the licensing department just recently, and the team there, they were all Caymanians. Again, not sure, which line you need to be and what you need to be doing. The way they facilitated me, they did nothing other than be professional. They were accommodating. I didn't think they did it for me because, I had nice curly hair. They did it for me because they're good public servants.
That's right.
You're a customer. Obviously, you need a little bit of assistance to make sure you got the right form, you sign the right thing in the right place. The fantastic professionalism, the cordialness, Now, I'm saying that to ask us, as we introduce laws against corruption and, standards in public life, that we do that. That's good. But don't mistake that level of kindness, of hospitality, of service, of customer care for something other than what it is. Here are people, just like the young lady hope she don't mind me calling her young lady, earlier today, who say, look, this is where you go. These public servants assisted so that I could get through without being lost, as it were, in the system, right? And nothing was, as I observed them, what they did for me is no different than they would do for anybody else, right? It wasn't anything special about me. So I didn't come here thinking, oh boy, that Miss Laszlo, boy, they're taking care.
Yeah.
No, it was that level of professionalism. That's what we have in our system. But I ask that to say that when things go awry in this country or not going the way that would benefit us now as youth champion, us in the future, why are we unwilling, or is it that we're unable to say, okay, that's not how it should be? Whether it's a proposed road, the amendment to some legislation, whether it's the introduction or the suspension of a policy, why are we as Caymanians unwilling to take a stand and do the right thing?
Well, I think part of it is that, because I can remember the days when we would take part, and when we had no fear, and we would to demonstrate or anything else for a cause for Cayman. Part of it now is I believe anywhere we go as Caymanians, we're so outnumbered, right? And you can almost cut that atmosphere, right? So most Caymanians are slightly intimidated because most Caymanians will back up 2 steps rather than hit you in the face the first round. But when they get to the wall now, trying to foreign get mashed up, and so it is easier, and the conditions of the workplace, both in the civil service and the private sector, is such that if you make waves, so to speak, right, and want to stand up and speak out on things about the country in general, you tend to get ostracized. And when you go out and you see your superiors, then you in places you feel kind of intimidated, and I've always tried to encourage people to look, if that's your belief. One of the things that we Caymanians used to do was we were always appreciative and tolerant of other people's opinions. Listen, I grew up in the days without TV. We went around on Friday night and Saturday nights and visited family, right?
Yep. And
we got used to having conversations with people about current matters, But now it's but let me give you the most recent example. The NRA announced a meeting in Northside about the East-West Arterial. Now, most people in Northside and most Caymanians island-wide believed that was a meeting for Northsiders, right? When I turned into the gate and saw the number of cars in the parking lot, and I was not late, that's not one of my practices. I said, well, we got a turnout, and they probably had. I didn't get around count the people in the room, because when I go to these meetings, I sit up front, so I can hear and I can look to people making presentations, and I don't pay attention to how many people are behind me. And it was probably, I would guess, when the meeting broke up and I turned around, it was probably somewhere between 90 to 110 people.
Wow. So
now, out of those, probably 25 were Northsiders.
Okay.
And the peer pressure in the room, if you got up and said something that was what they wanted to hear, or there was lots of clapping and things, But if you got up now and asked certain questions or searching questions for information, there was a eerie silence.
You
remember woozies that used to be in the graveyard? And that's what Caymanians face anywhere we go now. to try and take the opportunity when the few times that it is afforded us to participate in policy making for the country.
Mr. Ezra, I'm reminded of a quick break. When you come back, let's talk about that, because this is something that is, as you shared, may have been in that district, maybe the East-West arterial, but it's like anything. It's of national importance, not just the expand and the like. So when you come back, I really appreciate you making time. For those who are joining us and you're listening, yes, our guest is Mr. Ezra Miller. Call a friend, say he's on the radio, you can probably learn something. Pretend you're in church and listen. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences. They say variety is the spice of life. And that's why at Subway, we're introducing the new Boneless Hot Sub. Say what? The premium sub brings new ingredients like spicy breaded boneless chicken, French's crispy fried onions, and buffalo wing sauce, bringing a zesty and flavorful experience with every bite. Add some of your favorite veggies, cheese, and ranch sauce of your choice of freshly baked bread for the ultimate boneless hot sub. For a little spice in your life, try the new Boneless Hot Sub from Subway.
So good and tasty.
And make it a meal with a drink and chips or cookies. Subway. Eat fresh.
It's almost here. The return of the Cayman Islands Agriculture Show, 54 years strong, is happening Ash Wednesday, February 22nd. Make sure you get your raffle tickets to win $20,000. Visit them on Facebook or CaymanAgriculture.com.
Barry's Golden Jerk, the Cayman Brac sensation, ranked the #1 restaurant in Cayman Brac by TripAdvisor and home of the authentic jerk. Barry's Golden Jerk, serving large portions of the best jerk chicken and pork. Open Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday near the airport, or call 917-6713. Barry's Golden Jerk. It's simply better. The Ministry of Planning, Agriculture, Housing and Infrastructure is pleased to host the first town market on Cardinal Avenue, Friday, February 17th, 3 to 8 p.m. The event will highlight more than 35 stalls of our island's fresh food and artisan producers in the heart of Georgetown, alongside music and entertainment. The town market, this Friday, February 17th, 3 to 8 p.m. on Cardinal Avenue. Come out for this pre-agricultural show event.
But I do have some questions.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And in the studio, the excellent company of Mr. Ezra Miller. And as we went to the break, you were referencing the Meet the North Side about the East-West arterial. I want to make sure that I get what you were sharing, and that if it's a perspective that I share, that I'm not, sort of misunderstanding myself. We have in this country a view that if something is happening in a particular district, a development, expansion, a road, or the like, we believe that that's peculiar to that district. I take a different view. There are very few things that are of that nature. So if we have, say, a proposed plan for the North Sound, that isn't just for West Bay. Or if we could do the cruise port, it's not a Georgetown cruise port. The port is a national thing. There's national security, it's their lifeline, and like the dredging, the financial expenditure, all those things in itself should indicate this is a national thing, but we seem to, that's happened in Georgetown. The Georgetown landfill. Is there a West Bay landfill? Is there a East End landfill?
But you see, while I agree with you in all national policies, and in particular the East-West arterial way, obviously there's an all-island-wide interest in that. The point I'm making is that if the National Trust and the National Conservation Law and the people who live on the filled in swampland in South Sound want a meeting, they should contact the ministry and have the ministry have a meeting in the South Sound Civic Centre. There's a reason why we have civic centres in church halls and town halls in every district, because we're expected to discuss national issues in those environments. But they didn't want that. What they wanted to do was to come Northside and intimidate the Northside people.
Yeah. So let me then ask if I.
But the same people that went Northside went to Savannah and do the same thing, you know.
But that's the thing, right? So let me ask, in trying to understand, I flip that one over. There was discussions in the South Corridor about the port, and I don't remember what it was called. Nothing to speak to the individuals, but it seemed from the bystander that the port discussion, if it was in the South Sound, Red Bay area, that, oh no, we can't have that because that's here. But that's a national issue. You don't want others to come in to talk in your area about a national issue, but you can take, your collective view and go elsewhere and dictate and intimidate. So how do we...
But you see, the port is a good example. Yeah. When they started the petition against the port, as leader of opposition and the other members of the opposition party, we had meetings in every district. And we invited I don't remember the acronym they use now, to come and get signatures at these meetings. Yeah. Because we felt it was a national issue and everybody should have an opportunity to put into it. Yeah. And what is happening, particularly with the East-West Arterial Way, is that because of the loudness, because of the vast amount of money that these agencies have, which they accumulate by offering people, you can do what you want down in 7 Mile Beach and just buy one piece of land up in Northside Swamp land from them poor people up there. We won't send out about your stuff down there. We can get theirs, right? And therefore, and they're well funded. I mean, every time you look at the internet, there's another video, another report by somebody who, And again, so the people in Northside and East End and Borden Town don't have that opportunity to come and hear the presentations. All they're getting in social media and everything else is by these extreme views. So in order to, I tell people that public debates are like a seesaw. If you have come out and taken such a position that you have me either down low or up in the air, right? I can't bring that into balance, by moving towards you. Yeah. I have to go further from the fulcrum in order to bring us into balance. When we start getting leveled out now, then we can start to come together. But these people have come out and taken this, in my view, unscientific, unjustified, lack of knowledge, extreme position on this road. And the question that I listened very closely to the people making comments and everything else. I not only listened for what they were saying, I listened for how they were saying it. Right? And so when I got up to ask a question, the first thing the MC did to me was, well, Mr. Miller, you only have one question. You're the last question. So I said, well, I have more than one question. If you're saying I'm the last person now, that's different from saying I'm the last question. If I'm only being allowed to ask one question, then I just will sit down. So we got over that. But again, that was designed, in my view, to throw me off guard. You see? And at my age, it's not difficult to distract me and take me off track, and I lose my train of thought, because my old brain cells have been active a long time. But anyway, the first question I asked was, what is the purpose of the EIA? And they looked at me kind of curious, right? I says, well, I want to know, is the purpose of this EIA, which is being presented here tonight from certain quarters, to stop the road from being built because of the perceived environmental damage that it's going to do? Or is the purpose of the EIA to look within the gazetted road corridor and determine what are sensitive areas and then decide how best to mitigate the impact on those preserved areas? Well, the consultants and the NRA said, no, it's the latter. I said, okay, I'm fine with that. Okay. That didn't go down well with the people who were there with the intent to stop them now, because you want to have to listen to the buzzes again. Right? And then because I said, I don't have a problem with that. Right? The second question I have is, you have some photos up here that you're using to show how this is going to affect this thing. Can you tell me what part of the gazetted east-west corridor, those pictures of the mangroves were taken. Right? Of course, they had to admit that they weren't in that area.
Wow.
So I said, but you see, you can't do this because you're coming here with a false premise. You're misinforming the public because almost everybody in this room who's opposed to this or were not opposed to it before now believe that those are the kind of mangroves that we're going to destroy in building this road.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the problem I have with the people who are opposing the road, right, is the hypocrisy, the total hypocrisy. Because all of them have been allowed to extract their generational economic wealth from their land, their swamp land. Because Central Mangrove is the same thing you got down alongside my beach, They're down the swamp land, right? And now they're getting old, most of them, and they want to get to heaven. So they want to massage their conscience now and stop me and the other people in Northside who own land and destroy and eliminate our generational wealth. My grandparents worked on the Panama Canal and all that heat. They worked on the bridges in the Florida Keys, building them to buy land in Cayman. My father sailed the 5 oceans and 7 seas, that is not got that right, to make money to buy land. I worked, right, for 40 years, first in the civil service and then self-employed, to buy land. Now these people, right, believe that I must just sit back and let them destroy all of my generational wealth. What the National Trust has done to the Whitakers, the Millers, the McCoys, in the constituents of Northside, while it is not criminal, it is so highly immoral, right? Because National Trust now has stolen, in my view, so much generational wealth in Cayman that they now own between 35 and 45% of all the arable land in Northside.
Arable land.
Arable land. Land that we used to farm.
Yeah.
Land that we cut ironwood trees to build our houses and churches and buildings and boats. Land that we cut mahogany trees to build furniture, right? And to build houses and to build boats. We cut we cut thatch to make rope, to make baskets, etc., etc. We can't take nothing. I can't go on National Trust land shoot a Cayman rabbit, because that's a fine. It's now inalienable, right? And they know, the question I have for them is, how many of those people who were in Northside on Tuesday night to oppose this road because of its environmental damage have done this simple thing? They live in on filled-in swampland, have taken out their septic tank and put in a treatment plant. Now, you want to protect the environment? Start at home. Every one of you, take out your septic tanks and put in treatment plants. You want to see your mangroves? Knock down your house. They go to sell the fill and plant mangroves. That's what they're telling me, Won't make one thing clear, Mr. Zerlin. Ezra Miller not here today for any political purpose, Ezra Miller here today for personal purpose. This is personal with me and my family. Right? Because it is me that is losing. You hear the National Conservation Council ads on Radio Cayman for weeks. Recommend land that needs to be protected. I don't have no problem with that, but it should say recommend your land that won't protect it. Not recommend mine. But it's easy for me to recommend Sterling land, Easy. I ain't lose nothing.
Pointing fingers, though.
Right? But that's what these people do. That's what I'm talking about, the hypocrisy in it. Right? And I am telling you that I am going to challenge them all the way. And if they want to fight over the East-West Arterial Road, that's fine. I'm willing to fight. We can start a petition, and it's easy to get signatures, you know. All I got to do is stand up by Hurley, roundabout. People in line long enough sign signature. You remember that's what we did when we were doing the one man, one vote? How many signatures we got? Okay.
Yeah. All right. When we come from the break, Mr. Miller, I want you to tell us, not just expound more on why it's personal, but why this may be good from your perspective. I'm going to pause and take a break. Call your friend. Say, oh, Ezra hot today. I stay tuned for the hot today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Water Authority Cayman would like to advise its customers on Cornwall Lane and Cranbrook Drive in the vicinity of Crew Road of planned service interruptions that will take place in the area to facilitate infrastructure works in the area. Customers will experience a temporary service interruption on Monday, the 20th of February, between 10 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. The Water Authority apologizes for any inconvenience these works may cause and thanks the public for your patience and understanding.
Apply today to the Walker's Scholarship and Legal Training Program. You will join the Walker's Scholarship and Legal Training Program, knowing that you will be offered more, both throughout your time in the program and after qualifying as a Cayman Islands attorney at law. Preparing Caymanians for a career of excellence through mentorship, opportunities, repetition, and experience. Be sure to have your application submitted by 20th of February 2023. Visit the careers section at walkersglobal.com to find out more about Walker's Cayman legal scholarships, articles of clerkship, qualifying work experience, and legal internships.
It's almost here, the return of the Cayman Islands Agriculture Show, 54 years strong. Make sure you're part of it. Ash Wednesday, February 22nd. Get your raffle tickets to win $20,000. Visit them on Facebook or CaymanAgriculture.com.
It's all about humanity.
It will be Saturday, March 4th, the 11th annual Rotary Central Health Check, the almost island-wide Rotary Health Screening. See us at Foster's Republic's West Bay, cost you less at Governors Square, West Bay Road, A.L. Thompson's Georgetown, Foster's at Countryside in Savannah, Bordentown, from 10 a.m. through 2 p.m. Take advantage of a free mini-medical, a physician's check on your blood pressure, your A1C, your cholesterol, your blood sugar, your healthy weight evaluation, and more. The 11th Annual Rotary Central Health Check in conjunction with the Health Services Authority. Saturday, March 4. Save this date that could save your life. Rotary, all the good you imagine.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you very much for joining us. And we always, in my view, in a way, I'll be guided by our listeners and our guests, and in this case, Mr. Ezra Miller. I look at Radio Cayman as being that platform that allows the public unfettered access to each other. And it's not the government radio station, it's the people's radio stations, funded by taxpayers, competently managed and the like. And as we evolve the political landscape, whatever autonomy there is, we need to ensure that we have this level of dialogue and this platform to be able to present. Now, as a people, we need to know how to share what we're saying in the most responsible, respectful way. But it doesn't mean that your voice, even if it's a singular voice, is right or wrong. It just needs to be defended to be heard.
I mean, I know I enjoy people having discourse with me in opposition to what my position is.
Yeah.
Because I've always learned from those experiences. I mean, when I was a minister, EXCO member, right, they all and said I'm, trying to promote myself about what I was. Every single policy that I propose to do in government, I took it to every town, every district, public meetings, and to even the Cayman Brac and even Little Cayman, because I believed that was my responsibility. I think it was my final year in college in Jamaica. I was listening to Michael Manley speak one night, and he talked about participatory democracy, right? And it struck a chord in me, right? And so I did a lot of research into the term afterwards, and I developed my whole political being on participatory democracy, because I believe that if I represent you, you have an inherent right, and I have the ultimate responsibility to make sure you are given the opportunity to participate in any decision that is going to be made about you. Now, if you get the opportunity and you don't participate, I can't do nothing about that, But what's happening in this thing with this East-West arterial road is it is being taken over by people who oppose it. And the voices from people like me and Mr. Arden McLean and a few other people who see the road and its future, and I'm not ashamed to say this, the future development potential for the eastern districts that comes from this new arterial road, right? Because I don't see this road as simply a traffic solving proposal, which it's going to help with that. Because the other question with the NRA was asked in our side was, well, if you do this, what's going to happen when you reach Hurley's? And they said, listen, that those areas are currently under review and study as how best to alleviate the traffic there now. And I firmly believe that when they finish the expansion and improvement of the Linford-Pearson Highway, that's going to be a tremendous relief to the bottleneck at Hurley's, and including the extra 2 lanes between Hurley's roundabout and the Lion Center roundabout, right? My only contention with NR is, why is it taking you so damn long to do it? But why are you taking a year to complete what is a 1.5 mile piece of road? And therefore, so we can get the benefits. But even the fact that you know how those 2 lanes that they did when they started work on it, between on the Linford-Pearson Highway coming down, it made a tremendous amount of difference.
Just a small distance between that small roundabout and Smith Road.
And again, these people that are opposing this road, they want to help with traffic. Well, go to the next time the private schools are having a PTA meeting, go in there and demand that the schools provide a bus to pick up your children. If you come in from North Side or East End, when the public schools are closed, and when the private schools are closed, traffic is easy.
Is it that obvious?
It's very obvious. Summertime, my wife can leave home 6:45 and get to work 8 o'clock. School is closed. Private schools are closed. Now, this morning, she left home 5:30 in order to get to her job by 8 o'clock.
Wow.
Right? And the reason she leaves 5:30 is because if she leaves then, she gets into town by 6:30, 7 o'clock. And she has to sit down in the car for an hour until the office opens, right? But if she makes a mistake and wait till 6 o'clock to leave, she don't get Georgetown till 9 o'clock. Right? Another alternative to the traffic, is for the traffic, the NRA, and again, you understand I'm taking extreme positions because they are taking extreme positions against this road, right? Is to put street lights on every one of their gateways, where they come onto the main road and tell them you can't come out here till 9 o'clock morning. school open 8:30, you can't come until 8:30. You got all the cars from the Eastern District got to go through before you can come out, before your light can turn green. That would be very safe on the environment, right?
You use the word participatory, and there's a word that's banded about often, consensus.
Mm-hmm.
Are they synonymous?
No.
All right.
You see, in participative democracy, to get to the best decision for the majority, which is why I use democracy after the participation.
I'm with you.
Does not have consensus mean that everybody has come to a point where we agree.
Right.
You'll never get that in participative democracy. And you don't want it to a certain extent.
Right.
Because you want to be forced to look at the alternatives.
Yeah.
You see? So, no, they're not the same at all.
Yeah. Recognizing that, right? And I say that to you for many reasons. Publicly, I respect you, the position you have, your intellect, your forthrightness, the willingness that you say it as you see it, right? I shared it with somebody and they looked at me and as if I was off my rockers, right? I said, well, come to the public and I'll say it again. Consensus. We see this thing.
Consensus on the East-West arterial railway right now, where what the public image is of the consensus is don't build a road.
Okay.
Because that's the loudest thing that's out there.
Ah, okay.
Right? And so that gives you a false sense of consensus, right?
Well,
because you're not hearing the people who are advocating for the road. There's no forum for them.
Yeah. I would share that maybe from my deliberate effort. I would say the consensus is the other way. But the reason why I'm asking is that today now we talk about consensus science. I never thought science could be like that. Science was always inquiry and trying to prove or disprove or whichever, right? But if you take the unfortunate example of Jim Jones, right? There was a consensus, Everybody willingly, as we understand from the history, took this drink, this Kool-Aid. Nobody said, hey guys, maybe this not good, It was consensus. Look at the unfortunate outcome. Now, and I'm using some heavy euphemisms. So consensus is something that we need to seriously reconsider.
Yeah, that's why I prefer the term participatory democracy.
Right.
I want people to participate, and the person who's advocating the policy should listen and use the information that they're presented. Accurate information. Because remember that I don't subscribe to this thing that they're alternative facts. I grew up in a school where there's only one set of facts. There's alternative interpretation, that's set of facts, but you can't have alternative facts.
Okay.
And the kind of misinformation that is being put out there about the central mangroves is troubling, very troubling. Because from my limited knowledge and research, I'll give me an example. A couple of years ago, there was a presentation made at the Rotary Club about the central wetlands, right? And there were basically 3 themes that were presented. 1, it makes all the rainfall for Cayman, right? 2, there were millions of gallons of nutrient-laden water that comes out of these central mangroves into the North Sound, which is totally responsible for the fish life and the flora of the North Sound. And the other one was that if they offer hurricane protection. So some of the members listened and then said, well, you heard one side of the story now. You need to bring Mr. Miller here next week to tell the other side of the story, right? So the person called me and asked if I would come and speak. I said, okay. So one of the first things I did was I went to the Weather Bureau and said, how long have you been keeping annual rainfall records in Cayman? It's been quite a few years ago, so again, subject to minor corrections, right? I think we started in 1953. So I said, okay, I need a rainfall for every year up until last year. No problem, Mr. Miller. People look through it. You know which year was the least annual rainfall in the Cayman Islands? I think it was 1958. We had plenty of swampland yet then. Now, secondly, the theory about these nutrient-laden water that runs off of the central mangrove to fertilize the North Sound, right? You go Rumpine after rain, that yellow water you see, you know. That's what that is.
Rainwater stain, they say that?
Yeah, that's rainwater stain. Like that, you know. Now, my grandfather didn't tell me when he had plenty of lobsters up there in the town, they could sit down at the Rumpine under the wheat willow tree. Like after the heavy rains, and watch the lobsters walking out on the shallow grass, running from the fresh water. He ain't no fish or no lobsters up in the Hiddle Sound. And I challenge environmentalists to go and find one, bring back.
Yeah. Respectful, Mr. Miller, let's just do the news. Okay. When you come back, we'll continue. Please rejoin us after the break.
I need to explain that properly.
Yeah.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio K-Man's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority.
Police have now formally identified the man that was killed in the fatal vehicle collision, which happened on Tuesday, February 14th, near the intersection of Pollack Drive and Heights Road in Cayman Brac. He is 47-year-old Thomas William McLean Sr. of Cayman Brac. The RCIPS expresses condolences to the family and friends of the deceased. In international news, hundreds of Syrians living in Turkey have returned to the war-torn country after last week's devastating earthquake. The Turkish government has allowed Syrians with ID cards from the quake-hit Turkish provinces to leave for up to 6 months. The rule change has led to hundreds queuing for hours at border crossings. Almost 4 million Syrians have settled in Turkey since civil war broke out in their home country 12 years ago. A train carrying chemicals has derailed near Detroit, but the carriage containing them stayed on the rails, and officials say there has been no leak. It was operated by Norfolk Southern, the same train company at the center of the Ohio crash, which caused a toxic plume over a huge area 2 weeks ago. In the latest incident, about 30 train cars went off the tracks. There is an investigation, but nothing has leaked, officials said. And federal prosecutors Thursday asked a judge to give singer R. Kelly 25 more years in prison for his child pornography and enticement convictions last year in Chicago, which would add to 30 years he recently began serving in a New York case. The 56-year-old wouldn't be eligible for release until he was around 100 if the judge agrees both to the 25-year sentence and another government request that Kelly begin serving his Chicago sentence only after the 30-year New York sentence is fully served. Those are your latest headlines. I'm Shanda Gallego.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio K-Man on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio K-Man app or log on to our website, radiokman.gov.ky.
The headline news are brought to you by Health Services Authority.
Health Services Authority is now offering online payment options for patients. Patients of HSA can now pay their bills, including deposits, towards scheduled services online at payments.hsa.ky. The secure, new online payment system accepts debit or credit cards and is in addition to the available payment options of cash, check, and online bank transfer. For quick, easy, and secure payment directly from your phone or computer, visit HSA's new online payment system at payments.hsa.ky.
Radio K-Man is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Born September 25th, 1947 at Watering Place, Cayman Brac, Royce Adolphus Dilbert was the firstborn son of Hallen and Grace Dilbert, née Tibbets. Like many of the men of his time, he spent many years at sea. During his breaks from sea life, Mr. Dilbert employed his diverse skill sets. He worked at Alfred Scott's block factory as a mechanic with Eston Scott, and his uncle Bergman Dilbert performed dynamite blasting in Cayman Brac with the late Reverend Lee King, as well as worked at MRCU in Grand Cayman. He was also an entrepreneur selling fruits, cars, and tires, and painted and repaired vehicles. His mechanical skills proved immeasurable when in 1979, working in the Campeche Bank oil field, Mexico, his ship was chartered by Halliburton to supply material to cap the exploratory well which blew out in Mexico's Bay of Campeche. In 1981, he retired from sea and took employment with the Cayman Brac Power and Light Company as chief engineer, where he remained until his retirement in December of 2018.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands.
Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. And thanks very much for listening. Thanks to Mr. Ezra Miller for making some time. We're talking about East-West RTO. I appreciate what you were sharing. And just before the break, for those who maybe just joined us, you were saying that...
Yeah, we're talking about the presentation made a rotary.
Right.
In my view, the inaccurate information. And it's still being put out today. So, I say to people, look, there's no lobsters and no fish on Round Key. Up in the head little sound. The water too brackish. Ask them what's the salinity of the water up there. Right? Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not in any way suggesting or advocating that the mangroves don't have any value at all. No. I understand the mangroves have value. I understand that there's sensitive areas up there. Me and my family and other families on our side have protected these areas for 100 years and more, right? But don't twist numbers to make it, right? So this idea that the fresh water running off that is mangosteen and yellow is some nutrient-laden water for fish and fauna on the north side, in my view, is scientific rubbish, okay? Don't tell me, I'm not telling you don't contribute to it, right? Now let's talk about the rainfall. Cayman is simply not big enough to have its own weather systems. But again, I've done the research on it, and going back to the rainfall chart that I looked on. Let's assume that it rains on the central wetlands. There is zero absorption into the ground because it's already covered with water. And the plants don't use it; it's evaporated. So to get rain, the moisture evaporates and rises in the atmosphere until it gets to where you can have a temperature conversion, and the moisture correlates and form raindrops fall. Right, probably somewhere around 10 to 15,000 feet. Given the ambient temperatures and things that came on. Now understand that this moisture air cannot rise vertically. That is impacted by 15 miles an hour to 20 miles an hour. Tomorrow it will be 27 miles an hour, right? Northeast wind during the winter, or equally 15 to 20 miles an hour southeast winds during the summer, right? So the whole time this moisture is rising to get up to be converted into rain. It's drifting westerly at the speed of 15 to 20 miles per hour. Now, by the time that gets high enough, right, for it to form droplets in rain, it's past 12 miles back a long time, you know. All the rain that we get in Cayman, or when I say all, the majority of the rain we get in Cayman, in the summertime, them same waves that come off the African coast, coming down and bringing the weather systems. In the wintertime, they come off the Chinook mountains in northern Minnesota and Dakotas, right? And come down through the Gulf of Mexico and come in here as northwesters and bring rain. Right? So when they go and, in my view, falsify this information, again, the central mangroves is responsible for hurricane protection. Now, most of the hurricanes in Cayman, the wind we get is northeast, southeast, right? Because they come from the east. Occasionally we get one come up from the south. The areas that we should have kept 100% of the mangroves to protect the land is the 7 Mile Peninsula, because that's downwind of the North Sound, right? And waves can build up on that 15, 20 foot water with 50, 60 mile an hour wind, right? To wash over that down there, and the mangroves can disperse it there. The waves don't go up into the little sound. That is where all of my grandparents and other people who own vessels, right, carry their vessels in hurricane, come in and tie them on the mangroves and went home because you got 9 foot of water in the little sound, you know, about round key. Right? So, but you see, they put these people up, say they're scientists. So automatically, that's designed to intimidate the average Caymanian, right? Because if you're scientists, you expect them to present the facts and not opinions, and to tell the truth, right? I'll give you another example. They came north side a couple of years ago. They had this brilliant idea that Malpolas Pond needed protected. And in order to protect it, they needed 1,000 feet. I think it was 1,000 feet, or 300 feet around the pond. So I listened to their presentation. And I got up and said, well, just so I can understand, this is simply for my own edification. On 7 Mile Beach, where we have porous limestone and peat, right? You only need 100 feet around the pond, knowing that the water basically going to flow through its frame. Malpolas Pond is not a pond by definition. It's a rock hole that sells water when it rains. There's no spring to it. That place gets so stinking in the summertime that we once had a policeman breaking into somebody's house. I thought somebody we did, right? It is just flint rock that settles water, and over all these years, the dirt and the leaves and things have created this thing. So I said, if you only need 100 feet on the West Bay Peninsula, where the soil is absolutely porous, how do you need 300 feet when we know it's non-porous? It's basically non-porous. The whole fact that it exists is because the rock on which it exists is non-porous, right? So you see, all I'm saying is that whatever's good for the goose must be good for the gander, right? When you have a set of criteria that you apply to 7 Mile Beach or the Western Peninsula, the same criteria must apply. Along the West Bay Beach, mangrove protection, 300 feet is enough, you know, downwind. Along the Little Sound, right, for the north side people, they took 1,000 feet. They already have 1,000 feet to protect mangroves. Now again, that's upwind, right? The waves ain't going that way. If 300 feet can stop the waves on 7 Mile Beach Peninsula, 100 feet up it should be enough. Because the upwind, the waves are moving away from them. Doesn't make any sense, does it? Right? But again, it's just arbitrary, you see. There's no scientific pace of the decision. Now, I don't want anybody to get the impression here that I am anti-environment or anything else. We Northside people, right, and Eastern people, and Bordentown people, have protected these areas for hundreds of years. The reason they can come and try to confiscate them from us now is because we protected them. They didn't protect theirs on the Western Peninsula. They extracted their economic wealth from them. They're enjoying the benefits of living on pumped up swamp that improves the areas that they could live in. But the people in the Eastern District mustn't be allowed that. Right?
First of all, I want to read, if I may, something shared with one of our listeners. I'll endeavor to read it as it is sent. So it's a very interesting perspective Mr. Miller offers. Mr. Miller is a respected man of principle. My question is, what principle should prevail where something is adversely affecting you personally, but maybe the best choice for the collective Cayman community?
Absolutely the latter. The reason I say this is personal, you know, and what political, because I don't want, as a former politician, it's easy for people to dismiss this and say, oh, well, this is just Ezra getting ready to launch another political campaign. That is where the personal come in. I absolutely believe that we must make the right decision for Cayman.
Mm-hmm.
My contention is that the right decision for Cayman is to build the road because of the economic benefits it will build, because of the relief it will give to traffic congestion. But I am not suggesting in any way that the road be built willy-nilly. We just go up to the bulldozer and fill it in and don't pay no attention to the environment at all, which is the way I asked the question in the north side. What I want, right, is, and by the way, I believe that once the road was gazetted, it cannot be de-gazetted. And the reason I say that, let me digress a little bit. We'll get back to that about it.
Yes, sir.
For a decade or more, I've been trying to get 2 pieces of road de-gazetted in north side, right? Because we moved the road. Substantial, I mean hundreds of feet away from where the old road was. And every time I go to the NRA, every time I go to the minister responsible for roads, the lands, every time I go to the legal department, their total caveat is, Mr. Miller, there is no way we can gazette these roads. They gazette these roads, right? So the corridor is there now. It has been gazetted. What I want done is I want the government to say and make the announcement that we are going to build the road. But the purpose of the EIA is to identify any area in that corridor that has environmental importance, any species that has environmental importance, right? And the purpose of the EIA is to identify those areas and to come up with a way to mitigate it to do the least possible damage to the environment. If it means that in where they have, because the thing they announced also, that the average peat depth is 2 to 3 feet, but they might find a patch of 14 feet. If they believe that because all of a sudden now digging up peat, don't places have Mile Beach, right? Gives off all these gases into the atmosphere, right? You know, then elevate it. Or use, I think, some kind of neo-textile that they can put down and build a road on that, but they're digging out the peat, right? So where drainage is identified, put in proper culverts, right? Address the environment. And this is why I fought so hard when Dwayne, I say it wasn't called no names, when the minister responsible for the environment at the time brought the National Conservation Law down to the LA. I filed, I think it was 30 amendments, and he accepted, I believe it was 28, somewhere around. It might be off a little bit, right? But he accepted a lot of the environment, right? One of the things that I insisted that had to be put in the law was a facility where if the National Conservation Council, through recommendations from the Department of Environment or Home Health, found an area, and I'll use my land, not anybody's land, that was environmentally sensitive and need to be protected, there's a facility in the National Conservation Law that the National Conservation Law must develop a management plan for that area of your land, you know, right? And facility is put into the law at my insistence that the National Conservation Council will pay you an annual lease to manage that environment based on market value today for your land, but it don't affect the development of the rest of your land, other than telling you, Mr. Miller, you won't put this building here, but if you put that building right there, it's going to block this water, and now you need to move it 10 feet. Advising me, or any landowner, how best to develop the rest of the land, but don't sterilize the land.
Right.
And it gets back to the National Trust again. The National Trust, not the National Conservation Council, does not need to own my own land, right, in order to protect it. There are other ways to do it. You know? One of the big debates in the National Trust law was almost not passed in Parliament in 1985, because I was there, was that we had to be assured that it was not going to be a land bank. And that's what this bunch of group that got hold of it now is exactly doing. And it's wrong. The National Trust have lost their way.
Mr. Miller, we do have a couple of callers join us in the studio. Mr. Ezra Miller is our guest. Let's go to the phones. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon. How are you, sir?
How you doing? How you doing there, Mr. Miller? Carol Lawrence here.
I'm doing okay, man.
My friend, welcome.
I would just like to say this. I'll leave the road building up to the experts to decide if they can build it or not, right? But I just want to say that for the population of Northside and East End, I would say coming from Bordentown, Savannah, coming down has the largest population. So if they build a road coming in, I believe that they need to sort out the bottleneck from Grand Harbor, come up, right? Because we're going to be moving traffic from the eastern districts all the way down at a faster rate, coming to those bottlenecks. So the NRA kind of need to figure out what they're going to do with these bottlenecks before moving traffic. I think we'll end up in a similar situation no matter what, unless we fix these bottlenecks. And I believe the road need to be built in an economical manner to make sure that it's done to alleviate a different road, because Bordentown Road is really small for anybody coming through there. So I agree that needs to be sorted out. Dump trucks and things should not be flying through Bordentown Road the way it is. It's way too small for 2 dump trucks to pass, right?
Well, they're advocating expanding that to 4 lanes. Presbyterian Church and all that will be knocked down.
Yeah.
But Mr. Lord, not to interrupt, but one of the questions that was asked of the NRA specifically at the Northside meeting was, what are you doing to do and what are you currently doing about the bottleneck, particularly at Hurley's and off the part of the east-west arterial is already built? And they gave us the assurance that they have right now consultants currently employed who are helping them to design ways to alleviate that traffic. One of the things that they've already started, but what a problem I got with NRA is to start something and don't finish it, because I mean the Linford-Pearson Highway should have been finished 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
But they are going to add one extra lane on each direction between Hurley's roundabout and what I call Lion Center roundabout, right? And then the whole bottom end of the thing that they're doing down there up on Bob Thompson Way, right? And they have other ideas of how to try and alleviate. But that is the expectation of the NRA, because I went and met with the consultants privately, right? When they had the meeting in Northside, was was getting out of hand. So I requested a private meeting with them, and they gave it to me. And they gave me the assurance that in the year that they're doing the EIA and the other period of time that it would take to build this road, those situations would have been resolved.
Yeah, because in my mind, the population of Northside and East End is not the ones that's causing the traffic, right?
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
So I mean, just if you look at the Grand Harbor roundabout, we have people coming out of Grand Harbor, entering that roundabout, cross 3 lanes to try to get on the roundabout. That's not feasible, right?
Yeah, and I mean, we should in my view, planning should never allowed all of that residential development around the Grand Harbor thing that would be, that's being opened up there now. But again, certainly I agree with you. But the East-West Arterial Way, yes, it has the potential to assist with the traffic on the eastern districts, but it is more important to the economic survivability and my children and their children's future in the eastern districts to have this road built than it is about the traffic. But they're trying to avoid that.
It will create the development and everything else in that area, which needs to happen at some point. They're not going to ever not do it. But
these people, the only reason they don't want it done now, is because they haven't finished buying up all the land that they want to buy up first.
We just need to sort out the movement of traffic.
Absolutely. And
movement of traffic.
Mr. Lawrence, the sorting of the traffic cannot be limited to simply building roads, We have to control the importation of cars. But we've been talking about that for I was in Parliament, they talked about it for 5 years. We did at least 3 studies, none of which have been published.
You see, Mr. Ezra, the problem I have with the importation of cars is this, and I'll just share this view and then I'll leave you guys. We need to figure out, and quite fast, a public transport issue, because without public transport, you can't tell people they can't have cars. Right? One thing I don't want to happen is I have a son that probably soon has 2 sons, Caymanians, that's going to want the license. I don't want them to come and want their license and can't get a car. That's one of their rights here by being a Caymanian to own a car, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't think the Caymanians should be limited. No, misunderstand.
We import labor into the country, and some of these people here will never own a car in their entire lives where they come from, right?
And some of them, in my view, the way they drive, some of them shouldn't.
They shouldn't. No. Well, yeah. So I believe that we need to put in a public transport, and we need to put a viable one in that these people can use the public transport.
And it has to be reliable and everything else. If the bus is supposed to come at 10:30, it must be there at 10:30.
Exactly.
Not at 12:30.
Then now we can say that you cannot have a car in Ireland, you have to take public transport. But in order to do that, we have to take these steps. Meanwhile, they're studying to build the roads and widen roads. These are some of the things that need to happen in the meantime to alleviate what we're doing. All right, and stop doing the Band-Aid. I think we always do Band-Aid stuff, and I don't know why. I said to my friend Sterling the other day, it seems like when any government wants to do something, if somebody comes with a horrible idea, they say we want two of them.
Oh yeah.
So we need to sit down and have a holistic view of these things and try to make people's lives better. I mean, it's unreasonable that a child need to wake up at 4:30 in the morning to get down.
Yep.
Right. That's not good. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, man. Thanks for calling.
Thanks very
Appreciate
much.
it.
And then we take one more call, Mr. Miller, before we go to the break. Welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good afternoon to you, Sterling Green. Good afternoon to Mr. Miller. Here.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good to hear him there.
Same to you.
And on the radio, that's Caymanian talking to Caymanians. I'm talking the Caymanian way. Simple, common sense. Common sense. I have always admired Mr. Miller for that. Everything. I remember the many issues. Very with a brilliant brain he had. He could always find a common sense way to get around the nonsense. As if, for example, saying, you got to build a fence to keep cattle in where they're supposed to be kept in. But we got to have a commission to study the feasibility of it and whether it's going to impact the environment or whether it's going to infringe on someone's human rights or what instead.
And we can't use barbed wire no more because it might scrape the hide of the cow.
Yeah. Building the damn fence and done with it. If Mr. Hearst, Commissioner Hearst, had the EIA in his days, we'd never got no roads built.
Absolutely.
So, and we hear this EIA acronym around. For God's sake, from the time they talked about building the east-west arterial, that thing that was banded around, they had to do an EIA, and I guess it started from then. And I agree with you with all this. Just get the common sense way. You all knew what you used to use there. My father worked with all the millers outside building boats. So he knows that's what they used the wood up there for. They had to use it.
But they tell you that mastic is a virgin forest.
Oh, my God. I mean, these people, this is what happens to us. People come here and they live on the built-up swampland, as you said, and earn very high salaries, and then turn around and tell you how you should treat and what you should do with your land.
Yep.
And this is beyond ridiculous, and because it's a serious thing. No, I don't see why it should stop. As I heard this morning, I believe it's less than 2% of that wetlands that the road would take up.
Oh yeah, I mean,
less than 2%.
They're making you believe that this thing is going through the middle of it and going to destroy it entirely. That's true. They're not touching the wetlands till after the cross look out.
You talked about the rainfall thing, and I never really knew that, and that's something else to put it, put in our library of history. And this is the real thing with us. We take these highfalutin ways and believe everything these people say, that this is scientific, this is the truth. We didn't know it. The consultant, Ms. Genevieve Barton, says, the guy from over yonder, but we believe, this is the absolute truth. This is the way to go. And then we find ourselves putting back our people and not getting anywhere forward. And then but we have to stop listening to this. And with the thing with the car business, this importation of cars, it should not be allowed. People just come here working on a work permit I'm being allowed to import a car. That doesn't happen anywhere else I can think of. And they're selling the cars. They're making it a business. It's not just important for personal use. Everybody knows this now. For God's sake, we can stop this. Just have to get the courage. That's a big part of the whole equation to stop that. And then, of course, a proper bus service controlled by the government. I'm told you got to have the regular stops, regular times, regular schedule, or get the heck out of the business. And this is it. But we got to have the courage to tell people to do these things. But I agree, it's really refreshing to hear you on there talking the truth and telling people the Caymanian way. You know, let's stop this nonsense and get on with it. Get the highway built. Get it done. You know, all this little foolishness, they're throwing stumbling blocks in your way. I agree with you 100%. It's a smoke screen. It's just wrong. Take care. God bless you, Mr.
God bless you. God bless you, Mr. House. Thanks for calling. Appreciate it. Your opinion is always appreciated.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. House. Mr. Miller, we'll just quickly take another break. When we come back, more talk today.
When you're craving something big, something tasty that gives you that lip-smacking satisfaction, something that hits the spot, there is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
It's pretty tasty.
Filling and full of flavor. Try our new sweet onion steak teriyaki with a twist. Or the classic chicken teriyaki. Top it with green pepper, onions, cheese, and that sweet onion teriyaki sauce, all piled on your favorite artisanal bread. Satisfy that craving with a footlong from Subway.
Fresh, delicious, tasty, meaty.
Let's make it a meal with a drink, chips, and cookies. There is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
J and Money touching down again. Now you can send your US dollars at any location on island, including the BRAC. It's easy. Just walk with your US dollars. No need to convert to CI. This is another convenient service available at J and Money. They always find a way to make it easier and hassle-free. So remember, when you need to send your money and you only have US dollars, don't ever think of what to do. Just head straight to any J&M Money location and send your money the fast, convenient, and affordable J&M Money. J&M Money, touching down again. J&M Money, ranga to la friend.
Coming in hot.
Coming in hot for the Red Dot sale only at Reflections. Clearance sale on men's and women's shoes. Nike, Reebok, Adidas, Puma, Dockers, and more. Limited styles available. Get yours before they're gone. Spot the Red Dot on any tagged item and receive up to 50% off. Ladies, save up to 50% off on clothing. Just in time to find your perfect Valentine's outfit or Valentine's gift with lingerie and personal massages at 10% off. Save on dresses, blouses, pants, and find even greater savings in our clearance baskets. Men, spot the Red Dot on any tagged item and receive up to 50% off on brands like US Polo, Dockers, and 20% off on all gym apparel. Levi jeans starting at $34. There is something for everyone. Reflections Clothing Store located on Cheddar Road beside the Mango Tree across from Kirk Napa. Open Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Friday and Saturday, 9 to 9 p.m.
Add another 10% off at the Red Dot sale this week only at Reflections. Sale ends Saturday, February 18th.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Oh 5.3 Breeze FM live. Now it's an Man Bushman representing for 105.3 Breeze FM.
Hey, this is DJ Lynn. Join me Sundays from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Breeze 105.3 for Beach and Reggae Sundays. Whether you're out in a boat, in the backyard, or simply on the beach catching some sun, it's the perfect way to unwind for the weekend as the sun sets on our beautiful Caribbean Sea. Join us this Sunday from 2 p.m. on Breeze 105.3 Beach and Reggae Sundays.
The Department of Agriculture would like to inform the community of the holiday closure hours for the plant nursery, sales office, and abattoir starting from the 20th of February in preparation of the upcoming Agriculture Show on Ash Wednesday, February 22nd. All offices will be closed on Ash Wednesday. For more information, visit doa.gov.ky or their Facebook or Instagram page at Agriculture Cayman.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255. Let your voice be heard. And now, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. And in the studio, the good company of Mr. Ezra Miller. And as we talk about East-West Arterial, a couple of questions are coming through. Maybe we read this one first. Yeah. It says, with regard to the proposed East-West Arterial Highway, which is controversial because it, in capitals, may adversely impact the central mangrove wetlands, which is crucial to drainage, our ecosystem, etc. I wonder if there will be any consideration of an alternative solution of using a series of bridges over the wetlands or a causeway built along the coastline of the North Sound of Grand Cayman. These types of solutions exist elsewhere. Just look at the west coast of Florida.
I'm not adverse to it, like I said earlier. If the EIA people who are doing the survey identify an area and they believe the best solution to that is a bridge, means the bridge just a road on stilts over that particular area, and above that.
Okay.
But I mean, we also have to look at the environmental impact of creating these offshore so-called solutions, right?
Yeah.
Because they're going to affect the tidal flow as well.
Yeah.
And one other thing is that people need to understand that the East-West Arterial is not going through the middle of the wetlands. It is skirting the wetlands, right, on the south side. And we've already dug quarries in the areas where this road going, all that kind of, right? This is not going through the road that I really want to see built to enhance my children's future in the north side is from Driftwood to Hirsch Road, right? Come right through the middle of the thing, and I want a canal alongside it too. Because it can be done. We already got 1,000 feet to protect the mangrove, right? And I see them put up north side, and I haven't had the chance to look at the topography in detail, right? But they indicate on drainage that the drainage around this up in Low Valley area flows northeast into the wetlands. I got my doubts on that because I believe it is more likely to be flowing northwest because the wetlands are lower than the dry land. That's why they sell water. You know, water, we can't have, the wetlands can't be above the dry land beside it.
Well, I'm not trying to be facetious now, too jovial, but I've actually seen drains being built in this country where, this is pointed to me, this is the road sloping up and the drain is up on the high end. I always thought water.
That's for major floods.
Okay.
But I have not, and I want to make this sure that I understand the need to protect the environment.
Yes, sir.
But I think there's a reason why the good Lord in the good book says He gave man dominion over the land, right? But all I'm saying is that don't tell me, you environmentalists, that this road can't be built where the previous government had decided to build. Tell us how best to build it to have the least impact.
Right. Can I, in reference earlier to the comment about cars, this message came in, Mr. Miller. This individual writes, I own 10 cars, and I can only drive one at a time. It's not the cars, it's the 35,000 people on work permits blocking up the road.
There's some truth to that because he not driving all 10 of his cars one day, but each one of them work permit holders driving one. And going back to Mr. Lawrence's statement that we need a proper public transport system, right? Because the people who work in the public transport now fighting for fares, and I will tell you that they're losing money because all the work permit people, all the construction people, and all domestic help bought cars now.
It is, from what you're sharing, then, a disconnect, and that's creating a disquiet where the people seem to be divided along some sort of line without understanding the need for discourse. So come to the table. We need to do something. What is that thing? Once we agree what is the objective, how best to get to it. I ask this not hopefully to be as naive as it sounds, but why can't we do that? I mean...
But you see, that's why I'm here this morning, this afternoon, because I believe they have to do that, right? And for too long, we Caymanians have sat back and let experts, in quotation marks, from somewhere else tell us what. I'll give you a joke, and I'll take a share with the public. Years ago, Mr. Dudley McLaughlin used to manage what we used to call the metro station by the cemetery.
Yeah.
So me and my brother stopped there one night with a guy from up in Arizona, and the guy looked around, walked around, and came back, and Mr. Dudley used to sit down there with his arms folded, and this man started to proceed to tell him all the things he could do to this property to make more money, to make more money, to make more money. So when the man went outside, Mr. Dudley looked at me and Jerris, and I won't use next 60 that he used, but that's not allowed on the radio. But the gist of what he says was, he said, that what I can't get with these people who live all their life on mountaintop and they expect till they come home live on the flat land. So everybody come here who can't solve the problems in their own country. This is what really guides me. They have not chosen to stay in their own country, to improve their own country, whether economic, social, environmental, right? But they come here, they got all the answers.
Yeah. Well,
right? And because they come from somewhere else, as some people used to say, we believe that they have our interests at heart. They do not have our interests at heart. They are here for their own self. And we need to listen to everything that they say with that caveat. Because if I leave Cayman today to go to any other country to work for my own benefit, right? And if it's not going to be for my benefit, I'm not moving, I'm not going to that country, right? I'm not going there for the people of that country benefit, I'm going there because of me. And we need to listen to all of this stuff that these people are telling us about what's good. Ask them, first question, okay, what did you do in the country you're coming from just to protect the environment? Give me an example of your successful advocacy of the environment in your country, right? If you can't do that, then just tell us, you don't have nothing to offer me.
Yeah.
Because you come in here, you live in an expensive condo, you drive in an expensive car, you're making a big salary, right? And because your wife don't work, she has time to go out and advocate and all these things,
Your comment then, as I was reading one day, the messages, ask the message sender to forgive him for paraphrasing. It's making an analogy with now the presence of Sweden being the presence of the EU, right? Saying that Sweden allegedly has shared, you're not going to use our forests to offset, the pollution, the development, all the things in the rest of the EU. And I'll read more of his share, but that seems to be the gist of what was being relayed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. They are not able or capable of going to the country of origin and assisting in solving the problem there. But they come here, and all of a sudden, they're the know-alls and be-alls in it. And just up the road, right? When they were getting ready to build 2 billions over there, that's the only area in Georgetown that had rushes. You know what rushes are, right?
The rushes make the
pop. Best thing in the world. I could eat some right now, right? They didn't take 20 square feet of that and keep it, right? They dug it all out and put rock from East End in it and built their big buildings so they could extract their economic benefit and enjoy the generational accumulated wealth. All I'm saying when I say it's personal, it's not personal to me, one. It is personal to all the people who live in Northside, East End, and Borden Town. We have protected these properties. We have kept them to where they are valuable, right? But the National Trust going up and tell people that they don't want none because they're on a 30-foot road, they can't development, so we'll be paying you $3,000 a thing. When I got up in Parliament and told my people in Northside, if the National Trust come to you want buy land because it's valuable, agree with them it's valuable. You want a minimum of $100,000 an acre. Social media wipe me out. I shouldn't be telling people this, right?
All right, going to pause, take a short break. When we come back, we'll continue our dialogue with Mr. Ezra Miller. Please stay tuned.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Grand Cayman's biggest one-day family fun day is back! The 54th Annual Agricultural Show at the Stacey Watler Agricultural Pavilion in Lower Valley. Ash Wednesday, February 22nd. Raffle tickets are on sale now. And for only $25, you can win $20,000 and so many other prizes. Raffle tickets include general admission to the show. For more information, visit them on Facebook or CaymanAgriculture.com.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Dwayne Porter will be taking appointments from February 13th to 18th at his Crew Road Clinic. Clinic appointment slots are limited. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email dr.portercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That is 946-9020.
Cocoa Fest is back at Pedro St. James, Saturday, the 18th of February. From noon to 6 p.m., enjoy crafts, games, music, coconut-inspired food and treats, health and beauty products, and enjoy local cooks, craftsmen, artisans, and farmers through a shared love of the Cayman coconut. Admission is only $10 for adults and $5 for kids 6 to 12 in age. 6 and under get in free. So go coconuts at Cocoa Fest and enjoy one of Cayman's culture and tradition Saturday, February 18th. For more info, go to info@pedrostjames.ky.
Brought to you by Proven Bank.
New stock has just arrived at Super Stitch. Now don't take my word for it. Drop by and see for yourself. Fresh off the boat, we have loads of fabric, vinyl upholstery fabric, fabric for cushions, outdoor fabrics, and dress fabric. That's not all. Super Stitch has sewing accessories and craft items. Included in the new shipment, you will find sheets, comforters, throw pillows, bath mats, rugs, and curtains for every room in your home. Super Stitch, 39 Pasador Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best price in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And in the studio, our guest is Mr. Ezra Miller, and thank you very much, sir, for joining us this afternoon. And as we look at maybe some of the discussions, is it then, as we continue, God's willing, the next break is news at 2. If you have time, we'll continue to 2:30. How do we invite people, as you shared? Something needs to be done. There are differences of opinion as to how it should be achieved. Is there a consensus as to the objective, much less how to even get there?
Well, I don't know that there's a consensus to the objective. The objective is to build a road, right?
All right.
But I think that people rally to a cause when they see how it's going to affect them. So these people who oppose this road have gotten together and generated funds and have rallied their forces to do it, right? So I think what people like me need to do is we need to come out and make the Caymanians understand, particularly in North Side, East End, and Bordentown, that we are the losers in this. I mean, the preposterous thing that they are advocating, one of the things they're advocating, is to put 4 lanes of road through the center of Borden down, you know. Now that means you got, and I don't want the church people to listen to this, right? That means you got to knock down the Adventist church. You got to knock down the Presbyterian church, right? You got to move the graves out of the graveyard beside the Presbyterian church in Borden down, right? Right? The gas stations has to go, right? I mean, it's just absolutely preposterous. But what did they do? They went to England, got somebody to write them a report saying what they wanted to say, who has not been to Cayman, you know, right? But they paid him for the report. Now, the interesting thing that we need to find out, and of course, you know, I put the EIU on it, but I still have that, right? Who paid for that report, right? Because if National Trust use National Trust funds to pay for it, I got to send the Auditor General over there. Or I got to ask her to go. I can't send her. Yeah. Put it out there. I'm no longer chairman of the Public Records Committee, right? Yeah, because that need to be investigated for fraud, right? And I don't have the kind of funds that they are generating because I'm not for sale, and I don't have anything to offer these people. They're not gonna get my land at a concession because they give me money to support getting the road built, right? When the road built, my land is already at $2 million an acre if they want that, right? It just happens to be the highest point in Cayman, 75 feet above sea level. If they want that, it's $2 million per acre. Not for the plot, per acre, right? And when we get a road, I expect to get $3 million per acre, right? And I expect that all, because if this road is built, it's not going to just increase the value of my land. It's going to increase the value of everybody's land, right? Not a National Trust land because that's an illegal that has no value, technically. But I don't put it past them the way they have, in my view, conspired and deliberately destroyed the purpose of the National Trust legislation by creating regulations. Let me give you an example, because the public need to know this, and I challenge them to say I'm wrong. When we set up the National Trust by legislation, as I said, I was in Parliament, it allowed for the creation of district committees of the National Trust, or district council, right? Now, again, Northside, partly by my initiative, had the most active National Trust Committee in the island. My mother wore out shoes going around taping people conversations. Verbal History Preserve, right, was the project. These people started to get in charge, right? They changed it, right, that when you sign up now for National Trust, you can decide what district you want to be in. In fact, you can be living in New York, but you can be a member of the Northside District, right? Then when you dig a little deeper, you find that they allows themselves to be members of multiple districts. Now you would say, well, what's the purpose of that? Let me tell you what the purpose is. We haven't had a National Trust thing in Northside for 15, 20 years, maybe more. So I went to them. First time, just before COVID, I knew the chairman at the time. So I said to him one day, I said, you know, I have this love-hate relationship with the National Trust, right? I'm a lifetime member. I was one of the first people that signed up once we passed the law. I would like to come and meet with the National Trust Council to see if we can come to some consensus about Northside, right? So I went and made a presentation. And I mean, I know they trashed me after I left, right? So that didn't go nowhere. That didn't get nowhere. But one of the things I wanted from them was to stop buying generational land in Northside. Anyway, 2 years ago, I went to them and said, look, I would like to resurrect the Northside District Committee because I'm concerned of some of the things that are getting destroyed, and there's things like Old English household and all that I would like to protect. Oh, that's a great idea, Mr. Miller. Yeah, man, we need you to do that. Well, I went out and did all the leg work and got 20 odd people in Northside to sign up and everything. You know, had difficulty getting their membership cards. And kind of worried. Kept them fully informed. I scheduled a meeting for the Monday night, I believe it might have been Tuesday, at the United Church Hall, because I knew that was safe during COVID, because we got church there every Sunday, so we cleaned it every week. I wouldn't use the Civic Center because the time before I went into that, they still had the medical waste there when they were doing it for testing and whatnot. It was still in the container. They stabbed me in the back and organized their own meeting at the Civic Center, the scene that I had my meeting, right? And allowed people to sign up as Northside members and vote by proxy, and elected 2 foreigners from Cayman, chairman and deputy chairman, right? We had our meeting, we elected, and I threatened to take them for judicial review and all that, but the chairman at the time happened to be a family member, and I didn't want to necessarily get in the family fall with him over it, so I didn't proceed that way. But that's what they do. In a year, the Northside District Committee did not have a single meeting. The only meeting they had was when it came around after the year that they have a statutory obligation to hold a meeting to elect officers. They had a meeting at the Botanic Park, right? And again, allowed all these people who we don't know to vote by proxy. Because one of the first things we did at the Northside people that I put together, we decided on 2 things, right? The law did not allow proxy voting, which it doesn't. And you had to prove that you were a paid-up member in order to be put on the list that you could vote. One of my best friends, right, could prove that he was a member, but they didn't give him the documentation to prove that he was paid up, although he was paid up, right? We wouldn't allow the person to vote. So we put him in the chair for the election, right? They now had none of that criteria. They approved proxy voting at the meeting prior to the district council being formed. Totally legal, right? Same thing they do when they're electing the chairman, right? One of the questions I asked them when I was trying to put it up, give me a list of the Northside members. Oh no, we can't do that. Now, understand, I got an annual report, I got a membership listed on the back, all members, right? Oh, we can't give you that. We don't know who. They've done the same thing in Bordentown. They went to Bordentown, set up a committee, and put the people in Bordentown being involved in it. They picked who they wanted and put them in. East End. That's what they do because they want to maintain control, right? And my argument is that it is dishonest. I argue that what they're doing is illegal in terms of what the law provides. And I know, because I was there, that it certainly was not the intent of the legislators who passed the legislation. I think it was 1985 or 86.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're going to pause and go to our news. When we come back, we'll continue the discussion. Please stay tuned.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Drivers should expect delays in town today as several road closures are planned for the inaugural town market on Cardinal Avenue between 3 and 8 p.m. today. Closures include Cardinal at Albert Panton and Edward Street, as well as Albert Panton to just south of Butterfield Bank. In international news, 5 former Memphis police officers pleaded not guilty Friday to second-degree murder and other charges in the violent arrest and death of Tyree Nichols, with his mother saying afterward that none of them would look her in the eye in court. The 5 former police officers made their first appearances with their lawyers before a judge in Shelby County Criminal Court. The officers were fired after an internal police investigation into the January 7th arrest of Nichols, who died in a hospital 3 days later. His beating was caught on video. Thousands of flights to and from German airports were canceled Friday as workers walked out to press their demands for inflation-busting pay increases. The strikes at 7 German airports, including Frankfurt and Hamburg, affected almost 300,000 passengers and forced airlines to cancel more than 2,300 flights. The union is seeking a 10.5% increase for its members, or at least €500, to make up their high inflation seen in Germany and elsewhere last year due to the knock-on effects Russia's attack on Ukraine has had on global food and energy prices. And actor Bruce Willis has frontotemporal dementia, his family has announced. In a statement on social media, they said it was, quote, a relief to finally have a clear diagnosis. The 67-year-old was diagnosed with aphasia, which causes difficulties with speech, in spring last year, but this has progressed and he has been given a more specific diagnosis, the family said. They expressed their deepest gratitude for the incredible outpouring of love. Those are your latest headlines. I'm Shana Gallego.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio K-Man's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Between the traffic, the meetings, kids' activities, there just isn't enough time. Best Health Pharmacy was a game changer. Not only are they centrally located on Eastern Avenue, but they deliver prescriptions for free anywhere in Georgetown and West Bay. I could not believe it. When my prescription ran out, they ran it back to me. Best Health Pharmacy, located at Crown Square Plaza on Eastern Avenue, across from Edie's Decor, offering free prescription delivery anywhere in Georgetown and West Bay. Call 949-1301 or WhatsApp your prescription to 924-5358. Best Health Pharmacy. Your health, your convenience is their priority.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255. Let your voice be heard. And now, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. And thanks to Mr. Ezra Miller for joining us and looking at a couple of the messages and asking, to the extent that one person, again, I'm going to paraphrase, shared, we've always heard the mantra, you want to, make an egg, you got to break a few, or make an omelet, scramble a few eggs, or whichever it is, right? But I'll come back to that in a second. I don't want to lose this call that's joined us. We're speaking to Mr. Ezra Miller. Let's go to the phones. Thanks to Ms. Susan for putting it through. Good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon. How are you?
I am well and I'm even better. Mr. Miller, it's about time. Thank you, sir. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you too, dear. God bless.
Blessings, yeah. Thanks. We've in speaking to that message, then as our caller shared, there's this thought about, we got to have balance and compromise and the like. But you said to me earlier that we've always been heard. Is another call, Miss Susan? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Is it then that potentially we've seen the mistakes we've made on Grand Cayman, so we'll avoid it on the Bracken Little Cayman, we've made in Georgetown and West Bay and other areas of development, so we don't want to replicate then in these 10 districts? Or is it that, as you shared, similar to what this message that is reread during the break, Sweden is saying to the EU, we now have the presidency, you're not going to allow our forests to help you to offset your pollution, your development EU-wide. You can't use that for credit. How do we look at that?
Well, you see, we can learn from mistakes because the majority of the people who facilitating or encourage us to make the mistakes are not going away. They're just making us make more mistakes. And we don't have enough Caymanians with that courage of integrity and courage of purpose for Cayman and Caymanians to stand up to these people. Because let me tell you something, I don't have to ask nobody. It carries serious economic consequences when you take these people on, as I have done over the years, right? They do anything in the world and everything in the world to put stumbling blocks. I just happen to be so fortunate that I had a very successful business before I went into politics, right? So that while I was in politics, I didn't need nothing from them. Now I've left politics, I had accumulated enough assets during the period when I was in private business, right, to live comfortably, right? But it was in a situation where I needed a job, right? You would think that in any of us in the world, somebody with 20 years of political experience and executive experience in government would be headhunted by these people to sit on their boards, to contribute to the companies. No. They're not calling me, offering me nothing. Not that I want anything from them, right? So it is difficult for Caymanians who are trying to make a living, trying to feed their families, trying to get wealth, i.e. through land and house, etc., to speak out against these people because there are consequences for it. And or there's enough of us Caymanians who are so intertwined and intermingled with these people that are coming here and destroying our societies and telling us how to live, what I call it CUFs, Caymanians up front, that these people are promoting, right? Most of them behind this, don't come out public, you know. They got 2-3 people who have some Cayman connection or something that they are infusing with this thing, right? And sending them out there and rewarding them for it, right? I have nothing, you know, but I can only come here and talk about the people of Northside, Eastern, and Bond. We need this road. We need it for the future development of the communities for future generations, right? But my street score in 10 years gone, you know. I living on somebody else's borrowed time, according to the good book, right? Yeah. But I got to look out for my children,
Mr. Miller.
And their children, you know. And we need to find a way. One of the ways that I'm going to try, and Mr. McLean has agreed that we'll work on it together, is start a petition in support of the road and go around and have meetings where we can invite the local people in. And if these people come, we'll take them on. They're invited to come and put their thing forward. But they must come with facts and figures and understand that not because they're coming from them, the National Trust or the National Conservation Council is going to be accepted as a kind of gospel from a pulpit. Right? We are and they have to justify why they haven't taken action in their own front yard. Any of them can dig out half of their backyard and plant ripe mangoes, you know? Right? They're not going to do that. They need place for their puppy to run, for the dog to run. But I mustn't fill in none of mine for my children to have a place to live. And this is the hypocrisy in the whole thing. You know, the Caymanians who have extracted their generational wealth on the 7 Mile Beach in Georgetown, South Sound, right, are now telling me that I shouldn't get anything.
Mr. Miller, with the meeting the other night in Northside on the proposed road, I gather from those in attendance and accounts that, you know, the EIASF could be a number of years for that completed. Road construction could even take longer. There's this. What was the takeaway?
Well, the timeline that was given to us was that it's going to take these people a year to do this environmental impact. And part of this is being engineered by the National Conservation Council, supported by the government departments that support them, you know, to delay the stuff. That they haven't yet agreed on the terms of reference. So the year hasn't started yet, right? So they're going to take a year to do this environmental impact. Now, again, I am of the view, and this is just I'm not an engineer, but I would think that until the road is designed, right? And there's a decision made that we're going to build this road. Or we're going to build the road out, right? How are we going to build the road out? They really can't tell you how it's going to impact the environment, right? So my belief is that what some of these hypocrites is trying to do is to try to manipulate this EIA. 1, for delay, right? 2, to slow the process down of building the road, part of the delay, right? But also then to come back and say, well, now that we got it, we got to redesign the road to fit this in, right? Now, it is my understanding, and I speak subject to correction, but the only person who is Mr. McLean, and I'm sure that I know that this is his position, from Horse Road to Lookout, where they're going to build, which is the first phase they want to build, right? Mr. McLean already dug that out, you know. They don't have to dig out. They just need to build a road now. So my view is that road should be designed by the road engineers, whether the NRA or some consultant. Have the EIA look at it, right? And determine, well, you need to put a culvert here, right? You need to use geotextile here and not dig out the peat, right? like we did down by the Ritz-Carlton, right? And build this road, right? And the time frame for that should be by the end of 2023. Because my biggest problem with NRA, and I just need to take forever to do anything, right? But again, and we put these things out to international companies to come and build the roads, and there's a time frame.
Right.
Now that may be kind of tight, but I told you when you start this conversation, Sperling, the hypocrites and the conservationists have me 10 feet in the air, or they're 10 feet in the air and I'm 10 feet on the ground. I can't get to ground level by going closer to the fulcrum, to where we want the balance that we want to wind up with. I have to take a bigger extreme than them, so they will start to come down, and we both come down equally, so that we get the balance. Because what we want is a road that is not going to destroy the environment, but is going to be built in a way that may enhance the environment. That's possible too, you know, right? And the road will allow economic development that can be done, which will enhance the environment, enhance the economic benefits to the people of Northside, East End, and Bordentown, right? And therefore, Caymanians in general, and all of Cayman.
Yeah. Mr. Miller, we have another caller joining us, Mr. Ezra Miller is our guest. Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling. How you doing?
Excellent, excellent. How are you?
All right, my friend. All right. Nice to hear Mr. Miller on it this evening. I can't say nothing else than what he's saying there. I so much agree with what he's saying, especially where he comment regarding the way that these foreign people can come into our country here and dictate how we supposed to eat, drink, and sleep. We have, and I can understand, you all have an issue in Grand Cayman, and we as a small island here in Brock, our issues are growing slowly, but by the time they be addressed, it's going to be too late, too sad. We have other issues that in government that they should be looking into, and they oversees the things that can help the Caymanians, and they goes and pass bills of things that not beneficial to government. We, as in me, as I speak for Cayman Brockers, because like what Mr. Miller speaking there with the roads, I'm not too much into that as what happened there. But when we got to deal with issues here on this small little island, we have to bring foreigners in that our children study for, go away and come back, but yet they can't get no work as such as what they studied for. We end up putting, and every time I hear Mr. Miller and Mr. Arden, powerful voices for Grand Cayman, I can't dictate how Caymanians should vote, but I don't understand how Caymanians don't continue to put them back year after term after term. Because sure enough, they can see that what they have there now, and I speak my mind, are no help to the Cayman Islands, the people, but they are only a help to foreigners that come in here. Like what he said, has no credentials in their country to back up anything they do, but when they come here, they make us seem like we don't know what water is from rock. We are in a situation where we need a change of laws, regulations, and possibilities of government in order to make sure this country run the way it used to, from our strong back members that used to be in Parliament, and try to get back to where we should be, instead of having to pay millions of dollars a year to bring in someone that they don't even have the common sense. They have education. My father always told me, common sense and education is the big difference. If you're not got common sense, he say you don't go nowhere. Simple as that. And a lot of these people got education, they have nothing as common sense. And to come here as foreigners into our Cayman Islands and tell us about mangrove and how things run, that is a sad situation. Our Caymanians could come and tell us the same thing. So I agree totally with what he's saying. Like I say, I can't back up the nothing with the roads, but I come to Grand Cayman, and it's sad to know that I wouldn't want to how to wake my child up 4:30 to take that child to school at no given point in time to be there for 8 o'clock. That is outrageous. That is outrageous. And I don't know what the solutions will be, but they need to get some solution, and they need to get solutions fast without bringing in people to tell us a simple solution.
Yeah, appreciate you sharing our thought, and with that, respectfully, we'll just take the final little break, and then we'll conclude the discussion as we return.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
They say variety is the spice of life. And that's why at Subway, we're introducing the new Boneless Hot Sub. Say what? The premium sub brings new ingredients like spicy breaded boneless chicken, French's crispy fried onions, and buffalo wing sauce, bringing a zesty and flavorful experience with every bite. Add some of your favorite veggies, cheese, and ranch sauce of your choice of freshly baked bread for the ultimate boneless hot sub. For a little spice in your life, try the new boneless hot sub from Subway.
So good and tasty.
And make it a meal with a drink and chips or cookies. Subway. Eat fresh.
Freedom, Cayman Rack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
For the Health of It, helping you live fuller, healthier lives. Airing Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. and repeated Saturday mornings at 9:30. For the Health of It is the health and wellness focused program brought to you by the Health Services Authority. Caring people, quality service. Visit hsa.ky.
Ro Variety, centrally located in Tropical Plaza on Smith Road, carrying a wide range of household items, bathroom accessories, towels, clocks, handbags, clothes, shoes, jewelry, and more, and more, and more. You can buy from the big box retailers or support local. The better deals come from shopping local. Ro Variety Store, Tropical Plaza, Smith Road. Telephone 924-9553.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And in the studio is Mr. Ezra Miller, as we're talking about, I guess, specifically the proposed construction and extension of the East-West Arterial. I want to make sure I get that. The meeting on the north side the other day, and then the consequent sort of discussions. Here's a comment from one of our listeners. It reads, again, I'm going to read it as it's presented. Please ask